Yes, folks, the impossible happened. The impossible happened. Saul Canelo Alvarez lost to Dimitri Bivol, and we got to talk about this one. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
They hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, fam? It's Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, back at you with the realness because that's the only way I know how to serve it. And let's talk about what just happened the other night out there at the T-Mobile Arena. Saul Canelo Alvarez, the face of the sport, the biggest name in boxing, the #1 pound-for-pound king, got defeated last night by Dimitri Bivol, the WBA light heavyweight champion. And it was a spectacle. The social media comment sections are on fire right now. Everyone's got such strong opinions about what happened. Let's talk about the fight to begin with. It was at T-Mobile Arena out there in Las Vegas. The buildup was a bit unusual. You know, you can't have an opinion on anything without this side of the fanboy aisle or that side of the fanboy aisle getting upset. But, I didn't say anything about it. But the buildup was a bit underwhelming, to say the least. And maybe that can be attributed to Dimitri Bivol not being the most charismatic or outspoken of characters. He didn't give us one of those Caleb Plant moments where he smacked Canelo Alvarez. So, whatever. It was a bit of an odd buildup. Then comes the fight night, you guys. Then comes the fight night. It was so odd because Dimitri Bivol came out first without much fanfare. They didn't play the national anthem of Russia because they're doing the conflicting in the Ukraine and there's sanctions imposed. Canelo came in second. They even introduced Canelo second at the end. Such a strange turn of events. I've never seen them treat a champion like that. It gets down to the fight and it starts, and it's pretty much a wash, folks. Listen, Canelo fanboys, Canelo fans, my Mexican brethren, mi gente, don't get mad at your boy. Don't shoot the messenger for this, but Canelo got washed, y'all. He got washed. Let's just keep it honest. Let's keep it honest. Now, for the first 4 rounds, I barely saw Canelo doing anything. It seemed like he didn't know what to do. He was so confused by the jab coming in his face. That was a weird way to say that. He looked like he was just really confused by what to do with that jab because Bivol was sticking that jab out. Now, if you were watching the videos that I had put out in the build-up prior to that, I was releasing constant content talking about Dimitri Bivol has a jab just like Triple G's, and people were talking about I was out of my mind. Clearly, I was not. Statistically speaking, Dimitri Bivol is one of the best jab throwers in the game. Second only to Triple G, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that one. Listen, the one thing I do know for sure about Dimitri Bivol is he is a slick, defensively sound fighter with a better defensive efficiency rating than Shakur Stevenson. I caught a lot of flack for saying that in one of my previous posts. Oh, listen, folks. Listen, you cannot be mad at me when I say something that... Excuse me, I'm choking. Goodness. This is what happens when you're having a chest cold and everything. You can't fault me for saying something to the effect of... Man. You can't fault me for saying something to the effect of Dimitri Bivol having a better defensive efficiency rating than Shakur Stevenson, because that's just a statistical numerical fact. This is not about an opinion. This is just the numbers. This is 12.5% being lower than 13.9, which is their comparative get-hit ratio numbers. Like, it just is what it is. You can't be mad at me for saying that. And a lot of people are upset. Anytime you speak any kind of opinion in boxing, it's so weird, but especially when you combine Canelo Alvarez into that kind of a mix. And Canelo Alvarez lost, you guys. It was amazing to see Dimitri Bivol not lose his cool, to maintain control and pace of the entire fight using that jab and essentially use his high technical skills, his classic Russian trained skills against Canelo Alvarez. And it was something I had spoken up in the build-up to the fight. I had said on many videos in the build-up to this event not to underestimate the skills and the mindset that Dimitri Bivol was bringing into this. Dimitri Bivol is an undefeated champion. Yes, he might only be 19-0, but he's fought guys like Joe Smith Jr. He's beaten guys like, who was the guy that beat Joe Smith? Sullivan Barrera. Like, you got to give him his credit. Regardless of what, he is an undefeated champion in the WBA organization that has almost 300 amateur fights. It was even getting to the point where people online were being dismissive of Dimitri Bivol's amateur pedigree, and you just can't discount every single tool that a person brings into the ring. And I don't think it was a matter of Canelo Alvarez misunderestimating what Dimitri Bivol brought to the table. I think it was just a matter of Dimitri Bivol being the better, more skilled boxer on that night. It's as simple as that. It went all the way through 12 rounds, which I knew it was going to go 12 rounds. You can go check the receipts, y'all. I knew that Dimitri Bivol wasn't going to get beat up, wasn't going to get knocked out. I also knew that it was going to go the whole 12 rounds, and I even specifically mentioned that don't be surprised if Dimitri Bivol makes this a fight. And I'm going to make a confession, y'all. I'm going to make a confession. I was upset. Actually, I was scared to upset the Canelo fan base by speaking a prediction that might have gone against what the Canelo fanboy army might believe. So I coalesced and I said that I thought Canelo would win by decision. At least my saving grace in that was that I specifically said that Canelo Alvarez would win by a very controversial decision. You can read in between the lines what that means. That basically means that he would have lost in the eyes of all of us, but would have got it on the judges' cards. He's the face of boxing. These things happen. I don't gripe about that kind of stuff because that's not the type of stuff I want to stress about when it comes to boxing. Enjoy the shit show for what it is, folks. But either way, hats off to Dimitri Bivol successfully defending his WBA light heavyweight championship of the world against essentially the juggernaut of boxing, the 4-division champion, the face of boxing, Canelo Alvarez. Dimitri Bivol did his damn thing. Shocked the world, took the apple cart, turned it over, and spilled it all over the road. So the question is now, what happened? I don't think anything super out of place happened. I think Canelo just got beat by the better man. There are people that are talking about the vegan diet plan. Oh, all of a sudden Canelo's vegan diet plan is to blame. Listen, just because Canelo has the same diet plan as Tim Bradley doesn't mean he's all of a sudden going to start punching like Tim Bradley and go pillow fist on us. Look, the diet plan had nothing to do with Canelo losing. Stop. The training regimen, I saw Canelo try at least 2 or 3, maybe 4 different strategies, and every one of them was getting shut down by Dimitri Bivol's educated footwork and that educated jab. Canelo was applying pressure on the front foot. He tried to fight on the back foot. He tried to put his backs up against the ropes. Nothing he was trying was working against Dimitri Bivol. Dimitri Bivol stayed calm of mind, calm of body, and just did what he always does. Plays the classic chess move of boxing and makes sure he played it round by round and outboxed Canelo. These things happen, folks. Does that mean Canelo is not a great? No. Does that mean Canelo is no longer a first ballot Hall of Famer? No. Canelo is absolutely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Canelo is still a living legend and still a cultural icon in the game of boxing and even internationally as a superstar. It does not diminish Canelo's contributions to the game of boxing just because he got a single loss. Leave that for the Gen Z kids, and if you're one of the Gen Z kids, no disrespect, but a lot of the young Gen Z fans came up in the Floyd Mayweather era and they really sincerely believe that the 0 is the end-all be-all, that undefeated record, but really it isn't. It isn't. Now, we all love Floyd Mayweather. We all love Floyd Mayweather Jr. You know what I mean? But tell me how many people can name 3 fights that Andre Ward was in. Tell me anyone that can name 3 fights that El Finito Lopez was in. Name 3 fights that Rocky Marciano was in. They can't. That 0 only means so much, Canelo Alvarez caught a defeat. It's his second defeat in his illustrious career. No biggie. Pac-Man had losses. Joe Louis had losses. Muhammad Ali had losses. Sugar Ray Robinson had losses. All the greatest legends in this sport in its long, well-documented history have had losses, save guys like Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and El Finito Lopez. It doesn't mean that Canelo was going to go out of this game any less a legend. Not at all. So I think fans just need to calm down. I don't really know what's next for Canelo. He said immediately after the fight he wanted to run it back with Dimitri Bivol. I am of the mindset that is a bad move. I don't think he should run it back with Dimitri Bivol. I think he should leave the 175-pound division alone. Let Dimitri Bivol sort it out with Joe Smith Jr. and Artur Beterbiev to see who can become undisputed, because there's quite a bit of unfinished business in a little bit lower weight class. I know people aren't going to like this opinion, but I want to see that 3rd fight with Triple G. Regardless of what people think, Triple G, 40 years old, doesn't matter. He's still a unified middleweight champion. Still has the best resume of anybody in those divisions, super middleweight and middleweight combined. Has a larger social media following than Charlo and Benavidez combined. And he has 2 straps. He's coming off back-to-back wins. What more compelling story can you have in boxing? Then another fight between Triple G and Canelo right now. Canelo coming off a loss, eager to redeem himself in the fans' eyes and get some of that confidence back. And then you got Triple G who wants that get back against Canelo, coming off back-to-back knockout wins and a title unification fight. Boom. Compelling story. Pay-per-view sold. A lot of people are going to have their criticisms about that fight, but I do believe that's going to be the next logical move. After that, go take on Benavidez. Go take on Charlo. Give them those lottery ticket fights so that those guys get paid. And let's see what the critics come up with next. Because I guarantee you, if Canelo were to move on to a different direction, fight Triple G, fight Benavidez, and fight Charlo, I promise you the critics would come up with another angle to throw salt on Canelo on. I don't know. He didn't fight Godzilla. You just know, anytime a person is going after greatness, there's going to be critics who live bum-ass lives, who got crummy opinions that just want to throw salt. I don't knock them. It's human nature. It is what it is. What's next for Dimitri Bivol? Ooh, that's a bad Russian right there. Man, I've seen Dimitri Bivol do exactly what he did to Canelo so many times for so many years. I knew it was a very, very real possibility. And it played out exactly as the imagination of my mind made it out to be. Dimitri Bivol used his jab, used his creative combinations, didn't overload on any of his punches, didn't overstretch himself, and didn't take any unnecessary risks, and got him, in my opinion, a 9-3 wash on the cards. I think Dimitri Bivol should pat himself on the back, take that generational wealth he just accumulated in that fight with Canelo Alvarez, and wait for Joe Smith Jr. and Artur Beterbiev to have their fight, get the winner of that, boom, bang, boom. Undisputed title fight, possibly at the end of the year or early 2023 for the light heavyweight division of boxing. There you go. As simple as that. I'm saying it now. Dimitri Bivol is going to fight either Joe Smith Jr. or Artur Beterbiev for the undisputed light heavyweight title for all straps, either the end of this year or early next year. Mark my words. Anyways, folks, what did you think of that shocking performance? I want to hear your thoughts on Canelo Alvarez. I want to hear your thoughts on Dimitri Bivol. Let me know in the comments section. Hit that like button. Press follow if you haven't already done so, y'all. This is Hot Boxing Minute, the future of this YouTube boxing analysis nonsense. Peace.